the Para Cave podcast, proudly brought to you by major sponsor Jack's Pale Ale, exclusively available at Parramatta Leisure Club, Shannon Cooney from Glenmore Park Realty, BTZD Clothing, and the official media partner of the Para Cave podcast, the Parramatta Times.
G'day, it's Gus Walland here from Gotcha for Life and Triple M. I'd love to invite you along to the Mental Fitness Gym. Go to the mentalfitnessgym.org. That is a place where you can pick up some exercises to build your mental fitness, to work on that emotional muscle, those muscles in your head that are so powerful. Please come and join us at the mentalfitnessgym.org for all that stuff to build your emotional muscle and your mental fitness.
Welcome to another episode of the Para Cave podcast. And now over to your host, Troy Warner, broadcasting live from the world-famous Para Cave.
And yes, hello and welcome back to another episode of the Para Cave podcast. Troy Warner here, and it is Pacific Championships finals weekend, or day on Sunday anyway, at Commbank Stadium. 4 big games being played at Commbank Stadium on Sunday, this Sunday coming. And look, it is going to be some great international rugby league action, that is for sure, coming up at Commbank Stadium on Sunday. So if you are lucky enough to get a ticket, then get yourselves out there to Commbank Stadium in Parramatta, because there's going to be 4 big games being played. It all kicks off at 11:40am with the PNG Orchids taking on the Samoan ladies team, and that should be a great game, that one. Look, I think a big loss for the Samoan ladies team is Ivana Paletti, the fullback for them, plays at the Gold Coast Titans. She is unfortunately unavailable due to a leg issue. And look, that is a big loss for them. I do think that probably Samoa might just get this win. I think potentially, look, PNG, they'll give up a great fight, led by the front rower Elsie Albert. Had a great season for the Parramatta Eels in the NRLW, and is probably their most experienced player and their leader. But I just think that the Samoan ladies team will get the win in this one. That is on at 11:40am Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time on Sunday. The next game that kicks off on Sunday, this will be a cracker as well. This is the Kiwi Ferns of New Zealand taking on the Jillaroos in the Pacific Championships women's final. And it is first up against second. And look, this is going to be a great game, that is for sure. Probably the 2 most dominant sides in women's rugby league. And this should be a cracking game. Now, for the Jillaroos, just one change that down the Kiwi Ferns in Christchurch. Keely Davis, the Roosters hooker, joins the bench, and Jess Sergis drops to the 18th player. Quincy Dodd, she was a minor quad injury suffered that in the first up win against the Kummels, but the Davis came into the squad as injury cover for Quincy Dodd. Now she finds herself on to the bench, the interchange bench for the Jillaroos. Also, congratulations to captain, or co-captain I should say, Ali Brigginshaw. She has been named at halfback for her 25th test match. So, fantastic effort there. 25 test matches for your nation is outstanding. For the Kiwi Ferns, well, look, they've made a few changes to their side, probably strengthened it a little bit. They played the PNG Orchids last week. RP Nichols goes back into fullback. She was rested last week. Shanice Parker goes back onto the wing. Anessa Biddle, we know her as the Cronulla Sharks centre. She is back into the second row for the finals. So that is great to see. So it actually strengthens their side, I think. Look, this will be a cracker of a game, I think. The Australians got the win in their first encounter over there in New Zealand, but I think Australia will get this win again. But I just think a final, I think it'll be really, really close. We certainly won't see someone like Julia Robinson scoring 6 tries. I'd love to see that, to be honest, but I don't think we will see that this time around. But certainly she is a strike weapon. Obviously, you've got Tamika Upton at the fullback position, Isabel Kelly in the centres, Millie Elliott in the front row. She had an outstanding game last run around, I think player of the match. So led from the front there. So if the forwards can get going, then that gives obviously the backs room. And look, there's plenty of strike power out in that back line for the Jillaroos. For the Kiwi Ferns, look, I think their strong point, is their forward pack. Brianna Clark, Anissa Biddle, as I said, comes back into the side. Amber Hall had a wow of a season for the Roosters this year. Georgia Hale at the lock position. Again, if they do their job, it'll give their backs a bit more room. But I just fancy the Australian backs compared to the New Zealand backs. But look, it's going to be a cracker of a game. And if you can get out to Commbank Stadium, 1:50 p.m, catch this one because it will be a cracker. I'm going to tip Australia. I'm going for the Australians in this one. That is for sure. And look, the next game, this is the big one. This is the Men's Pacific Championships final. It is played between the Australian Kangaroos and the Tongan side. And look, this one is on at 4:05 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. And look, what a big win for the Tongans last week against the Kiwis, 25 points to 24. And look, what a game that was. Just quickly, I did not do a review or a preview of that one. So just quickly going back over that one, the Tongans up against the Kiwis last week, that was a cracker of a game at Go Media Stadium over there in Auckland. Look, 4 tries all. There was 4 conversions from Jermaine Asako, Isaiah Katoa, a halfback. He had 3 out of 4, and what a game he had. He kicked the penalty goal and the winning field goal as well in the 75th minute. Look, it was all Tonga in that first half. It was 24-6 at half-time. You thought this game was gone. At half-time, you thought Tonga really setting a great platform here, and they're just running away with it. I couldn't believe it watching it. Sione Katoa scored the first try in the second minute. Took a little while. It was 22nd minute. Adam Fanua-Blake, he had a wow of a game as well, captain. He scored the next try in the 22nd minute. Havili, 26th minute. Sonny Luke in the 32nd. So those 3 tries in 10 minutes, absolutely outstanding for them. But then in the second half, the Kiwis, they started to come back. They got that try before half time. Isaiah Papali'i, Keanu Kinney, he scored after half time. Phoenix Crossland not so long after that, and Joe Tarpany, how good was his try? A little bit of a kick and then a regather and then a bit of a run and try and beat the defender, and he scored. That was a great try. I do believe that Sean Johnson had a chance to kick a field goal. It got charged down. Jermaine Asako also had a chance at a penalty goal to win the game as well. He missed that one. Also had a field goal attempt as well. Missed that one as well. But look, a massive win for Tonga, which sets up this game against the Kangaroos on Sunday. And look, only the one change one change with one player, and that was Cameron Murray, who's injured his wrist. So he is out of this side, unfortunately, for the final. But that means that Canberra's Hudson Young, he goes into the starting side in the place of Cameron Murray. And what about this one? Lindsay Smith, the Panthers premiership winner, he joins the bench in jumper number 17, and he will make his test debut on Sunday against Tonga. How good is that story? Look, didn't get a run in the first 2 games for the Kangaroos, but he's got a run in the final. So a massive game. It's going to be... Look, the Tongan support will be unbelievable at Parramatta. I think, look, this could be close to a sellout final. There will certainly be a lot of red in that stadium. And what a game for Lindsay Smith to make his test debut against the Tongan side for Australia. And what a season he has had this year as well. So that's the only change there. A pretty steady squad. Massive game for Mitchell Moses, playing at his home ground and in Commbank Stadium in a final for Australia. So a massive game for himself, and that will be a big test for him. So far in his 2 games, he's been pretty solid for Australia. So it looks like he will have no trouble on Sunday either. But that matchup against Isaiah Katoa will be a good one as well. He is the key for Tonga, I think, if he can lead the side around. Obviously, their forward pack is outstanding as well. Adam Fanua-Blake, he had a massive game last week. Jason Taumalolo as well. Eli Katoa, he's had a great season this year. Hamoli Olakawatu as well. Felice Kafusi, Havili in the hooker position. So it's a pretty strong forward pack, that is for sure. And we always, I guess, seem to expect that from a Tongan side, but they will have to be at their best again. It'll be interesting to see how much it actually took out of them last week. It was a pretty emotional win for them. Can they get back up for this game? This is the final. So they were defeated by the Australians a couple of weeks ago now, 18 points to 0. But look, this is a final. This will be a different game. As I said before, there'll be a lot of red in that stadium on Sunday. The Tongans will have a lot of support for that one. Look, I'm going to tip Australia, but this is going to be a cracking game as well, I think. Look, this will be better than the first game of the Pacific Championships a few weeks ago now. And just with that game last week that the Tongans played against the New Zealand side, this will be a cracker of a game. They will obviously gain confidence out of that win last week and feel that they can potentially beat the Australians on home soil. The Australians, they will want to make amends for last year's Pacific Championships, obviously going down to New Zealand 30 points to 0 last season. So they will want to get this mantle. They will want to win this title and be the best side in the Pacific. So, look, I'm going to tip Australia, obviously. I'm going to tip about a 24... I'm going to say 24-14 game. And I'm going to tip I'm going to say Zach Lomax to score the first try. He'll be playing another game at Commbank Stadium, but now that he is a Parramatta Eel, he will be playing his first game there as a Parramatta Eel. But he'll be playing for Australia, obviously. But next season he's contracted to the Parramatta Eels, so this will be a great experience for Zach, who has made his Australian debut this season, and he will get a taste of what a full and loud Commbank Stadium sounds like. So I'm going to tip him to score the first try. Look, potentially maybe even a cross-field Mitchell Moses kick like we have seen in Origin. Hopefully we might see that again for Parramatta next season, but maybe we might even see that for this game here against the Tongans. So this will be a great game. Can't wait. Sunday, hopefully I might even be able to try and get there myself, but it doesn't look like it at the moment. I'll be watching it on TV. So 4:05 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. Going Australia, obviously cannot wait. The men's promotion / relegation playoff. Now, this game here between the Kiwis and the PNG Kummels, this game is being played after the Pacific Championships final at 6:20 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time at Commbank Stadium. 4 massive games, international rugby league, how good, in the west of Sydney. Now, this game, the winner of this game will stay in the Pacific Championships, the Pacific Cup, I should say, and the loser of this game will be relegated to the Pacific Bowl. So, the PNG Kummels, they are looking to get themselves up into the Pacific Cup. Look, it'll be a major upset if the PNG Kummels can get this win over the Kiwis, but look, rugby league is a strange game. You just never know. Look, I dare say there might be a little bit of PNG support there as well, but look, I would have given them probably a better chance of winning if they were playing over in PNG against New Zealand. Look, obviously New Zealand are the stronger side, and look, we know that, obviously, but when you play over in PNG, that just gives them an extra motivation. And look, it is their national sport, as we keep on hearing, and every time that PNG are playing at the moment, it is showing why they should be in the NRL. So look, I think the Kiwis are definitely massive favourites to go to win this game, and look, so they should be. They had that upset loss last week against the Tongan side, but look, still a lot of class in their side. This will probably, or definitely will be, the last international game and the last game of rugby league for Sean Johnson. He is the number 7 for New Zealand. He had answered a SOS call from the Kiwi coach Stacey Jones to come back and play after retiring from the NRL with the Warriors a couple of months ago now, but this will be his last game of rugby league. So if you're a Sean Johnson fan, then get out to Commbank Stadium and have a look at this one. If you're a Sean Johnson fan, or you just want to go out there and say thank you very much for your career. James Fisher-Harris, the captain, look, he'll be disappointed about last week, and before he moves back over to New Zealand, this will be his last game in Australia before he plays for the Warriors next year in New Zealand. So no doubt he will want to get this win as well. Look, I think New Zealand, they've got a pretty strong side. Leo Thompson moves to the interchange bench. Nathaniel White has been elevated to the starting side, and for the Kummels, Reece Martin returns to captain the side after missing last week's game for personal reasons. Dan Russell goes back to 18th man. So, look, I've been pretty impressed with a couple of these PNG Kummels players. Robert Derby on the wing, he's been pretty good. Lachlan Lamb last week, he was quite good, and Nene McDonald maybe potentially looking for a NRL gig soon as well. But yeah, I just don't think they can get the win against New Zealand. They'll be hungry to stay in that Pacific Cup and try and get the win next season in 2025. So, look, I hope it's not a massive scoreline to New Zealand. As I said, I do think that PNG will give it a good shake, give it a good go. That is for sure. I just would have liked their chances more if this game was played in PNG. So, I think the Kiwis will unfortunately run away with this one. So they're my tips for this week. And look, this is the last games of rugby league for the season, especially in Australia, I guess, where we are in November. A couple of the NRL teams have already gone back to pre-season training. Parramatta started, as I record this one, it was day 2 of pre-season training. So there'll be a couple of weeks pre-season, and they'll break for Christmas. Obviously, the players in the Pacific Championships, they will get a longer, or they will get their break after this as well. So they'll return a little bit later to their club sides. So yeah, get out there, as I said, get out there if you can to Commbank Stadium. If not, if you can't get out there, then definitely watch it. But look, just recapping the tips there for myself, I'm going to tip Samoa, and I'm going to tip, obviously, the Jillaroos to beat the Kiwi Ferns, the Kangaroos to beat the Tongan side, and also the Kiwis to beat the PNG Kummels. So, look, it'll be very interesting to see what happens. And look, it's been a good little championships, I think. Good to have a few little nations play in this sort of format. It would be good to have a few more teams, I guess, but then you're slowly starting to get towards a World Cup, aren't you? But it's great to see international rugby league being played, and I think there should be more of this international rugby league, but we'll save that for another podcast for another day. So thank you very much for listening to this one. I hope you've enjoyed that one. And look, the Paracave podcast, by the fan, for the fans. Go Australia! How you going, mate? Are you a Paracave podcast listener?
I am, bro. Okay. It's a great podcast. Everyone tune in.
Go Para.
Hello, Paracave podcast listeners. My name is Shannon Cooney from Glenmore Park Realty and long-term sponsor of the Paracave podcast. If you're looking to sell your property or buy, or just curious to know what your property is worth in today's market, give me a call today on 0421 588 445.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Paracave Podcast. See you next time.